What's good, YouTube? I go by the name of Q. If you're unfamiliar, if you are familiar, shout out to you. Welcome back to the channel. I give a lot of intangible information and a decent amount of tangible info on this channel, but this video, straight tangible. Straight tangible. Like, you can take these tips and the moment you stop watching this video, you can go out, apply it, and I guarantee you they'll have a beneficial effect on your life. These are things I've done, tried and true, so I wouldn't be sharing it if it didn't work. One thing I found to be extremely true is that not asking questions can be a hindrance to your finance. Yes, you have Google. Yes, you have YouTube channels like mine and so many other financial channels out there that give information and tips around finance. But asking people in your real life any questions you might want to know, and especially asking the people who handles your money, which is the banks, right? Ask them questions. I recently went to the bank the other day and I lit them up with a flurry of questions. A flurry of questions. Some of them I knew the answer to already, and some I genuinely didn't know enough about and just wanted to know if they knew what they were talking about, especially since they're handling my money. So the first question I asked them was, what do you guys do with my money when I give it to you? The teller I've been working with at my local bank, she was nice, she was straightforward with it, and she said, honestly, we just give it out, right? We loan it. The money you give to us, we loan it, we make loans, we give loans, so that way we can get a return on the loans that we offer. So okay, that makes sense. That's what I thought. Like, I figured that's how y'all make y'all money. And I was like, is there any other way you guys make money with the money that we give you guys? And she said, well, she was a little hesitant. And this is one of the answers I knew already because I had done my research on fractional reserve lending. And she said, well, there's a clause when you sign a bank, well, when you open a bank account, there's a clause. It may be in fine print, but they don't tell you this up front, is that they take a portion of your money and they keep it in reserves, right? And then they lend the rest out, like I said, or they'll invest the rest. So not only do banks give loans, but they also invest your money into multiple different instruments, different vehicles. She didn't specify which exact vehicle that they invest in, but it's pretty much some high yielding stuff, right? So they'll take maybe 90% of the money that you give them and invest it or lend it out, and then they keep 10% of your money in reserve. So even on the screen, even if you log into your account, all that money is there because of FDIC, right? You have the FDIC insurance where up to $250,000 you're insured. So that way, if they lose any of your money that they loan out or that they invest, then it's insured. Like, the government insures it. The Fed, I would say, not even the government, but the Fed, that's a completely different entity than the government. That's another thing that I don't want to go too deep on this video, but the Federal Reserve Bank is not government. It's completely different. Yes, they work hand in hand, but they're two different entities. But I asked her that, and she gave me the straightforward answer, and I respected her for it because I had already knew. But I just wanted to see if the person handling my money knew what was going on with my money, and if she was even, privy to these things herself, because we all learn these things growing up. Just put your money in the bank, don't ask no questions. Or just put your money in a savings account, don't ask no questions. Like, why don't you want them to ask questions? Why don't you want people to ask questions? So that's something you have to be curious about right there. And I've done this for years. I've just done what I was told to do a lot of the times, but sometimes you really have to think outside the box, and sometimes you have to ask questions, right? If you really want to know something, you have to ask questions, and the fact that you ask these questions, it may throw people off. Like, when I started asking her these questions, she was looking at me like who is this guy? She's looking at me like, who? Wait, what? Nobody ever asked me these questions. And I'm like, I'm sure they haven't. That's one way to get educated, and that's also another way to build rapport with your bank. The fact that she was thrown off by the questions I asked her She'll never forget me. Every time I pull up to the bank, she'll be like, "You're that guy. You're that guy who asked me all these random questions that I didn't expect to answer, and now I'm gonna do my research." So both of us can learn throughout our transaction, right? Throughout the transaction and our exchange of conversation, both of us can get educated, and that's what you want. You don't want anybody handling your money that's not properly educated, right? You can learn all this stuff yourself through the internet, but they're the people inside of these offices handling your money. Another question I immediately asked her after is, "What's your rates on your CDs?" And she said, "Wait, what?" I said, "What's the APY that you guys offer on your CDs?" And she like, "CD?" I was like, "Yeah, certificate of deposit." And she's, "Oh yeah, that's right, certificate of CD. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant like the CDs that you look." And I'm like, "No, she didn't. No, she didn't. No, she did not." And you know what? I didn't cause a scene. I just kept it in my head. I was like, "Damn, she don't know what a CD is, but she work at a bank." Okay, okay. She's been working for some time because I've been seeing her for the last 6 months. She don't know what a CD is. That's interesting. That's interesting. So a certificate of deposit, aka a CD, if you don't know what it is literally a high yielding savings account, which isn't high yielding right now because the interest rates are currently extremely low. So you're not getting that great of a return on a CD these days. And once she went and retrieved the information for me, she told me that the interest rate that they were offering on CDs at my local bank was 0.05%. Yeah, that's terrible actually. That's terrible compared to what they used to be. I remember when I first opened my account, they were offering a 4.0% APY, annual percentage yield on the CDs, and I think 4.55% was the highest. But ever since the pandemic, ever since the world's been in shambles, and it's slowly coming back, but it's still at a 0.05%, which is, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to open a CD because they do lock your money up. The CDs range from I think 6 months to 12 months. So you can even go as long as a 4 year, 5 year CD. And ain't nobody trying to do that for 0.05% when you can take that money and put it elsewhere. Because if you lock it up, there's a penalty for unlocking it or ending that CD early. And that was something that I think was gonna put her sharp on her toes, get her educated, and now she's gonna start doing her research on it. So just by me asking her that question, we both were educated because I didn't know the interest rate was that low and she didn't know what a CD was. Now this last question is for my credit card users, right? My credit card holders. If you have a credit card at all, it doesn't necessarily have to be with your local bank, but if you have a credit card, something that I did recently and it garnered me $3,500 was to ask for a credit limit increase. So every 4 to 6 months, 9 times out of 10, if you've had the same job or the same amount of income coming in on a consistent basis, your track record shows that you're responsible with your money. If you've been paying your credit card bills on time, it shows that you're responsible, right? We can give you money. They'll have a limit that they start you with when you open the credit card, and like I said, every 4 to 6 months, you're eligible for increase. But a lot of people don't know this because they never ask. Sometimes they don't tell you. Sometimes they'll increase your limit automatically by a small amount, but you can get a lot more money if you just ask. I had a phone call the other day, a 5 minute phone call, I kid you not. And I asked for a credit limit increase. And they said, "Okay, Mr. Childs, how much money would you like? How much money would you like?" And I'm like, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that question. How much money would you like, Mr. Childs? In my head, I would like $1 million. But I know that's not the case as far as these credit cards go. So I'm like, what's the max? Like, how much money can you actually give me at this time? And on this particular credit card that I have, the one that I'm inquiring about, I had a credit limit increase, and my base was 2,600. So I said, how much is the max? Well, they said based on this, that, and the third, we can give you an extra $3,500. I'm like, give me all of it. Give me all of it. Max me out. Take me to my limit. So from 2,600, they added 3,500. That put me right at 6,100, right? And the reason I did that is not because I wanted to spend more money. Like, I use my credit card like a debit card. I use it exactly like a debit card. I pay for my necessities, and that's it. If I want to buy something within my spending category, I do that as well. But as long as I have it budgeted in my account, then it's all good. But I went up to 3,500, and the reason I did that was because that would lower, right? That would lower my utilization rate. If you're familiar with credit cards or how the credit system works, is that the lower your utilization rate, the better. Most people would suggest keeping it under 30%. I suggest keeping it around 10%, around 15%. That's what I've noticed has been more beneficial for me. So by me increasing my credit limit to 6,100, my bills per month are only 1,200. So it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for me, based on my spending habits, to ever go above 10%, to ever go above 12% max. And by me doing that consistently month over month over month, my credit score will continue to increase. I'll have a healthy credit score, and I'll also have good rapport with banks. So that way, over time, I'll be given more money, or they'll offer me more credit limit increases upon request. So ask for a credit limit increase. For my credit card users, if you're not at this stage, I get it, but once you realize how important that is, it's basically, it's a tool. It's a tool that you can use to your advantage if you're trying to, finance a car, or take out a lease an apartment, get a loan on a mortgage, take out a mortgage. It's so many things, business, you can use your credit for a business loan. It's so many things that credit can do for you. And by asking certain questions around finances as a whole, because like I said, by being inquisitive, by asking questions, you can get educated, and you may potentially educate somebody else. Like, my teller was thrown off with the questions I asked her, and I'm sure she's going to do her research now so she can be prepared just in case another customer asks her some of these questions, and she'll be sharper, and she'll, a CD. I thought you meant. Anyway, I hope this video helps you. Let me know in the comments if this helps you in any way. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Also, follow me on IG. Q Makes It Happen on Instagram. I go by the name of Q. And like I always say, if Q can make it happen, you can make it happen. I'll let y'all next video. Peace. Just any questions. Seriously, any questions you have at the bank, ask them straight up. And I don't know if they have a fiduciary responsibility, so to say, but they do have a responsibility to you as the client.